All right, you grasshoppers, good morning. This is an old buddy of mine, really hardworking young guy. He interviewed, we were trying to figure when it was, probably about a year ago. He interviewed me on his show, and we were always meaning to get back on and do another show where I interview him. So it's a rare opportunity that a player gets to interview a reporter, which Matthew is. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here, Tom.
My pleasure. What's the name of your podcast again?
Outside the Studio.
Outside the Studio, that's right. We had a great show. I like that. It was good.
Yeah, you gave some very insightful answers. You don't get too often to hear from players, especially since hockey players seem to be more quiet and more reserved than football or basketball players.
Right. Well, it's interesting. When I really got into the motivational speaking, that was one of the big challenges, to be more forceful with the way I spoke. You still have that, Canadian farm boy, humble thing. You're supposed to talk about the team all the time. And of course, if I'm trying to motivate people, you can't be like that, right? So I really had to work. In fact, it's funny. I videotaped myself the first couple of times I did it. And I was laughing at myself after, because I was really literally apologizing for being there, trying to waste these people's time. So I realized that's not going to work too good being a motivational speaker. So good to see you again. All right, let's start first there. Unfortunately, you were at a funeral last night. You didn't get to watch the Ranger game. Did you watch the highlights with Tom Wilson to see what he did?
I absolutely did. It's disgraceful that the National Hockey League allows Tom Wilson to routinely get away with all this. What was it? A month ago, he had the 7-game suspension against the Bruins. When's enough? I remember 5 years ago at this point, going on a shoot with the Maven, Stan Fischler, at the NHL player safety office in Manhattan, not the one that they have up in Toronto, and speaking with a couple of executives there and everything. And obviously the topic was not Tom Wilson, it was player safety in general. And to hear them talk about how they view everything, and then to see how it's actually implemented, is two completely separate things. And it really shouldn't be.
Well, I guess, you're right. And he's really not, and you're correct. He's really not getting away with things, because he did get a 7-game suspension. So 7 games in a 56-game season is really more like 10 games, really. So, but
that's still not enough. With his record, it should be, I forget who, but I think he was on the Flames a few years ago, had like the 22-game suspension. Yeah. That's what you need to do to try to eliminate stuff like that.
Well, I guess part of the problem is too, right, that he's a repeat offender, but there's a period of time where if you don't do anything, you lose that title as being a repeat offender. I think it's like 18 months if you don't get suspended again, and that's what's gotten him, to spread out a little bit. But I'm with you. I mean, I don't, to be honest with you, when he got jumped. Panarin and Strome both came in to help Buchnevich. In my mind, I'm saying, okay, you could somewhat defend his actions then, because now he's getting attacked. He got attacked for a reason. But to be having Buchnevich on the ice like that and be pounding him in the back of the head, it just, again, it's a dangerous play. There's no point to it. It hurts his hockey team. And it's certainly not proven it. Like, he's a tough kid. Like, why would you do that to somebody? That just doesn't make any sense.
It's ridiculous. And Sam and Joe said it on the broadcast last night. I managed to catch the highlights, and they were just like, he had been pissed off from getting called for a penalty probably about 5-6 minutes earlier in the game. And he was like just deranged ever since that. And then he pinned Buchnevich onto the ice. And then, of course, yes, I get defending yourself against Panarin and Strome, but he could take Panarin and Strome with one hand tied behind his back. They're not the quintessential tough guys.
Yeah, I know.
Give him
and that's part of the issue with the Rangers right now. I've heard a few people say, well, they should have people on the team to defend. Well, the problem is the Rangers are in the developmental stage where they need to have those spots in the lineup for those young kids to play. Like, they really can't afford to go out and get like a Ryan Reeves or somebody. And there really isn't many guys around anyways that do that job anymore, because they need to have those young kids playing. So like with JD and Jeff Gorton, they're sharp guys. They know that at some point, not unlike what Toronto did this year, going out and getting more character players. The days of having to fight are gone. You just need to have somebody that Wilson knows. Listen, I can't go do whatever I want to do against the New York Rangers because they've got somebody to defend themselves. But it's a tough spot. The problem's going to be, I wonder. Everybody's calling for a longer suspension. I guess now he is a repeat offender. I would assume he's probably I don't know. People, there's only 3 games left in the season. They're kind of meaningless games. They've already made the playoffs, so it's got to be something that isn't just these 3 games. It's got to be something that goes into the playoffs. But it's a tough spot. And the thing is, too, I know we hate him, but he's such a great player, such an important part of their team, too. And that's the thing from the discipline standpoint. Not only is it dangerous for the people he's playing against, but he's hurting his hockey team, too. I mean, they've got a good team.
Well, there's the argument to be made that he's hurting the hockey team. Last I checked from the highlights, the Capitals were losing the game, and then after he did that, they actually were fueled to come back and win. Yeah, so right. I don't know that he's if he's in the lineup, I'm not quite sure that his antics are hurting the team more often than helping them. Because even with everything, getting the 4 minutes plus the 10 for the misconduct for 14 minutes, he still helped his hockey team win, which is just it's horrible to think that that's the case, but it is.
Well, he hurts his hockey team when he gets suspended, I guess, right? You're correct. When he's playing, he certainly helps them. But, they had some guys out of the lineup, too. So, it's just you wonder what's going through the kid's head. Like somebody brought up Matt Cook from the past, and he did the same kind of stuff. And eventually he got it. He got it figured out that, Brad Marchand's cleaned his act up a little bit. He's not licking anybody anymore. But
Marchand has a completely different skill set. Even without the antics, he's a top 12 player in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
Probably people would put him higher on the list than that even. So his talent, he doesn't need to do the antics. He just does it. Wilson, on the other hand, I'm not quite sure that he levels up in the same talent.
Well, I hear you, but you know what though? If I'm a general manager running a team, I want him on if I can get him on my team, I want it. Now a guy that plays smart.
That's insurance policy because you're going to need it.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate. You kind of wonder because obviously having done it so many times before, you would think people in the organization have come to him and said, "Listen, you are very valuable to us. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep getting suspended. Plus, it's costing him a lot of money too. You get suspended, that you don't get paid during that period of time too. So a lot of things against it. All right, but we're here to talk about an event, a fantastic event that you have put together. How many years have you had this event going on?
This will be year number 3. It started 2019. Called the Brooklyn Memorial Cup for Alzheimer's. I get people from the Brooklyn neighborhood where I live in South Brooklyn, to come out and play a softball game against a bunch of sports media people who I've gotten to know and develop relationships with in my 4, 5, almost 6-year career at this point. The first year, it was 110 degrees outside. We played a 9-inning softball game, which, by the way, if Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball happen to tune in at any point, we got 9 innings done in an hour and a half. It's possible to do so without all the weird rules and stuff that Major League Baseball is trying to implement. Right. And by the way, it was not a 1-0 game. It was 19-1.
Oh, nice.
The media, unfortunately, were on the losing end of that.
Who lost?
The media were on the losing end of that 19-1.
That figures, right? It figures, yeah.
It wasn't pretty. I think they had something like 6 total hits. Actually, the fielding wasn't horrible. I have to give them credit for that. But they couldn't quite catch up to the heater that the other team was throwing. And then last year, even with COVID, we actually had a pretty nice day weather-wise. We took all the appropriate precautions. No fans in the stands. We had wipes and hand sanitizer and everything in the dugouts. Let the players not have to sit in the dugout. Let them sit in the stands if necessary. And the media lost again, but it was 12-2 this time.
So let me ask you. So how did they look in their uniforms? They looked like they were shaped. Were they worse the first year and better the second?
Actually, there are some who have a very athletic background. Arda Ocal from ESPN and MSG Network.
Oh, yeah, I heard of him.
Paulie Lawton, who is he's a multimedia, sort of on the production side. He was with MSG. He's been.
We lost Matt there for a little bit. Froze up on us. So Matt's on here today. Matt and I did a podcast together about a year ago. We figured he's got a charity softball game that he's got going on. And once we get him back, he'll discuss even more. I think I can't remember, it was his uncle or whatever, to Alzheimer's. So it's to raise money for an Alzheimer's event. Again, the date I believe is in August at some point. But we'll get him back on. We'll discuss this some more. We'll wait for him. While we're waiting for Matt, I'd like to hear or see everybody's opinion on Tom Wilson from last night. I'm sure the Ranger fans are not too thrilled with him. We lost Matt. All right. So again, we had Matt on because he's got this charity game, and again, we'll either get him back on or I would get the details out to you guys. It's in Brooklyn, I believe. It's to raise money for Alzheimer's. And I believe it's in August at some point. It's against the media. The media plays some local people, and the media, I guess, in the first two games, two times they've done it, got themselves spanked pretty good. So hopefully that happens again. We'll have those media guys. All right, guys. Again, we apologize for the bad connection there, but we will get that information out to you, and we hope you do well. We'll see you guys later.